Hi, I'm Susan Blaine. I'm here with Charlotte Smith, and I'm super excited that you're here and really feel honored that you're participating in this. Charlotte is a student peer researcher and a youth engagement specialist and an addict. Hi, welcome to Sharing with Susan B, telling stories from the heart. We're looking to inspire, telling stories of struggle, vulnerability, and lessons learned. At 16, you got kicked out of the house, you dropped out of grade 10, and you started using ecstasy and speed and became a live-in stable hand. At 18, you managed to get back to the UK. You lived there for about 8 months, and then you worked as a barmaid at a pub by the seaside. And then at 19, you came back to Canada because your foster dad, who, can I say, had been sexually molesting you, tried to kill himself. So you came back, and then you worked in renovations and hardwood floors. At 20, you were addicted to oxy and crack. You supported your addiction by shoplifting and sex work. And then you started filling out independent learning booklets while you were in and out of jail to complete your high school. When you were released from jail for the final time, you finished your high school diploma. At 25, you completed a certification in addiction and community service work. You got a student loan and went back to school to Carleton University. You completed a bachelor and honorary degree in sociology at Carleton University with high distinction. Then you started working with a professor, doing research with youth homelessness, and you got hired by the professor to be the LGBTQ youth liaison. Then you wrote a very successful proposal for an internship in the summer of 2018, which allowed you to conduct your own study. And then after that, your professor and you continued the project, and you started to reach out to students in other cities like St. Catharines. In February 2018, you were the conference organizer for a first ever international conference on youth homelessness called Coming Up Together. And now at age 30, you've began your master's in sociology at Carleton, and you're working on your thesis that explains how the education system harms students who experience homelessness. So wow, what a journey.
Yeah, it's been wild. I can't really believe I'm here. It's honestly every day I wake up and I just think I'm so lucky.
Wow. Yeah. I really had a question for you when I was going through all this. What made you kind of shift and become a student and, make that pivot for yourself?
After I got clean the first time and after I stopped going to jail, and I knew I was sort of out of the woods a little bit. I knew I can have some semblance of a normal life here if I keep trying hard. I had so many friends that I'd left behind. Like, there's just a feeling of guilt, right? You know, and just like sort of survivor's guilt. And I really wanted to go back and be able to help the people I left behind on the streets. And now this is like 7 years later when I first had that thought, and I've realized that that's a much more difficult task than I had imagined, you know, and a lot of the people I wanted to help are already dead now.
Yeah. What's been your biggest struggle, Charlotte?
One of my biggest struggles is addiction, which is lifelong. Like, you can't, it doesn't go away just because you stop using drugs. It's there forever.
And I know we talked about PTSD too.
Yes. Yeah. I just had a lot of trauma in my life, starting from childhood, even like sexual abuse in my family when I was little, and and just a life, just a traumatic life, really, a bit. It sounds weird to say that, but that's what it is. That's what it comes down to.
It is. It doesn't sound weird. It's real. It's true. You really helped me look at things differently when you and I had our coffee chat, and you were talking about how people view homelessness, or homeless people, whether it's youth or otherwise, and people that are struggling with addiction, that people only seem to want to support those that seem to be trying, and how frustrating that can be, and that's not really helpful.
Yeah, it's not helpful for the most vulnerable people. It's not helpful,
Yeah.
For the people who their version of trying is just them getting up every day. It might be their version of trying might be them using a little bit less that day.
Yeah.
What
advice would you give to your younger self?
When I was really young, I would say something like, "You're loved. This is not your fault. You deserve love and kindness. It's not your fault that the adults around you are abusing or neglecting you, and things will get better. That's what I would say.
What's kind of been one of your big lessons from all of this that you can?
Big lesson has been to be open to like infinite possibilities, you know, and just to not get married to one idea of the way things have to be, or to one path, to not get fixated on this is the one path that's going to take me where I need to go. Instead, say I want to, like, I've learned to keep my mind on where I want to go.
Yeah.
But just be open to all the infinite ways that might get me there. There's been times where I've had to not only like put myself in spaces where I didn't feel like I belong, like I was completely out of place and uncomfortable, but also cut out, or not cut out, but avoid, cut out people out of my life who I care a lot about, but they just weren't helping me support my goals at that time.
Yeah.
Or were potentially a risk to me, sometimes because they were in active drug use.
Yeah.
And I just can't be around it. Like that's a real red flag for me.
Well, it's a trigger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready for the rapid fire questions?
Sure.
Have some fun. Yeah. Who's your favorite superhero?
Well, you know, I got a cheat answer for this one. My heroes are the young people I work with. Yeah.
Favorite food?
Favorite food? I don't know. I can't remember now. You put me on the spot. What it is actually. But I love all food. I have a huge food issue. I think I probably wrote gummy bears because gummy bears are my new addiction.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Someone you admire?
Karen Secord at the Parkdale Food Center. She must be in her 50s now. She only started a few years ago, entered into a totally new career. She used to be a journalist out in Carp. Like I knew her when I was a teenager, and then I just re-met her at the Parkdale Food Center. In the last few years, she's transformed this, what was just called a food bank, into a food center where it's like this community hub. You don't just go in there and line up and get, you know, given a bag of food that you may or may not contain things you like or know how to cook. You go in there, you learn how to cook.
Oh, wow.
Everybody's given slow cookers. They run programs for social justice for youth out there. You know, they do social enterprise. So she's got kids in schools that are growing basil and like making like all these basil products and selling them. And all the money that they're learning business, like the money that they get from the basil goes into making more basil. But it also, the profit that they make, they get the choice what to do with it, and they're all choosing to donate to different causes.
Wow,
like,
that's
you know,
amazing.
So it's just,
Well, there's an example of what one person can do, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you're on that path, my friend. Something that not too many people know about you.
People know so much about me, it's really disturbing. Like everybody knows every dark little detail about my life. But one thing a lot of people don't know is that I used to love Harry Potter. Still do, and I used to write Harry Potter fan fiction.
Yeah?
Like I used to be really nerdy into writing Harry Potter fan fiction.
How about a favorite movie or a book?
Lion King has always been my favorite film still to this day. And I remember when they a few years ago they brought it back out and they were showing the original one in theaters. And at the time, I was homeless and smoking crack, and somebody gave me money to go see it, and instead of going to see it, I smoked crack. And I've always regretted that. And my favorite quote, one that's always helped me, has been, everything is passing.
Everything is passing.
Everything is passing. Because that's always helped me, even like in jail, everything, like no matter how bad things are, sometimes I've just thought, everything is passing, you know.
What's something that always makes you smile?
The youth team. They're the young people I work with. They're
I love it.
They're a right laugh.
What's your definition of success in one sentence, Charlotte?
Success to me is operating in a way where you've put your ego aside and you're operating with passion and honesty, and you're having that calm feeling that comes with truly knowing you're doing good work.
You've been one of my more inspiring guests, and I thank you so much. You can check Charlotte Smith out. She's on Facebook. She's on Twitter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep doing your thing.
Thank you very much.